Hello developers, today we are going to see this sticky notes application with additional functionalities like adding item of title and subtitle, and we can see this in staggered vertical grid also with edit and delete functionality. Cool, it's getting awesome and edited right. It's integrated with Room DP and modern UI on Jetpack Compose. Hope you are excited. Let's dive into the project with the empty activity and give a name as my notes and save the project. So let's play this in starting. Meantime, I delete the templates. Okay, let it take a time. Fine. Now just start with my composable function with the preview and the composable function main screen. We started with this column and the row of items, this page, right? So for this, I'm going to use column with full max size of modifier to take the entire screen. Okay, and within that, I'm going to use top row with two icons on corners and one text piece with my notes. Just import the icon with the option enter or alt enter. Icons filled. First is menu icon, right? Some content description is null. This is icon filled search icon. Search content description null. Fine. Now you can give a modifier dot fill max width to take up the entire width and the wrap content heights. Let me check with the preview and give some padding of horizontal 24 dp. Import the dp. Okay, there is spaces are there, so I'm just going to use spacer modifier dot weight 1f to take up the entire space between this. Okay, now the contents are getting centered and padding top line just giving 30 dp. Fine. What else? We need to give the background. Before that, I'm just changing the modifier font size of font weight something like semi bold, and I'm giving some font size of 24 sp. Make sure font size must be in sp. Cool. And font family, let me give us some cursive right. It's bold is fine. And we need to give a color right. For this, I'm going to use color.kt since it is a compose file. Body equal to color. FF for 100%. I'm just giving the color code. And the CTA, that button color right. For this 0xFF for 100% and 961 4C. I'm just using this background of body before giving the padding. Fine. And started with the lazy staggered grid, vertical lazy staggered vertical. Why am I using lazy staggered vertical grid? Because the content will be different heights, so it just take up its own by this method. So I'm just using column 2 and there's a padding of 16 there. So let me create another function of notes content for the white pages, right? Which takes modifier dot content size, padding inside, background color is white. Just import it, rounded corner sheet. some dummy text I am given. So I'm just taking a preview and I use it here. So when I reuse items of file with notes content, I refresh this. We need to give padding after giving the background color. So I'm just giving within the text field padding of 16 dp. Now it's working. We need to give title there, right? For this text of some title, this is the sample title. So here I am to use padding 16 dp in top, and the vertical item spacing we can give something like 16 dp, and horizontal arrangement we'll give something like spaced by 16 dp. Now it's fine. Finally, I'm just adding that some font size, font weight and all. Let's match this. I'm just using the gray color. So for this I'm going to use the val text color. Here also same. I'm just using color equal to text color. Let me give some font size of 20 sp. Cool. And finally we are focusing on something that more vertical icon, right? This is a drop down. For this I'm going to use icon of icon field more vertical content description. It's need to be in bottom right. For this I'm going to use spacer to move it to right. Modifier width 1. Let me adjust the icon size. Modifier dot size and 20 dp. Is fine. Good. Now let me focus on this add screen. Composable function add screen. Let me add a preview and remove here. For this I am going to use column with modifier of fill max size and inner padding like horizontal of 24 dp. Before that code are similar to the main screen. So I'm just giving text field which is like add sticky notes. Here also we need to give something like second default parameter modifier with fill max width, graph content size, font size is 24 sp, and font weight is semi bold. We need to make it center. So text align equal to text align dot center. Make sure only with center only with fill max width. So I'm just using text field value on value change. I just passing it later. So for this I'm initializing first placeholder of some text, right? enter your title like that. And you can see that grayish background is there. So for all this I'm going to use colors. So use 4 parameters: focused indicator, color is transparent; unfocused indicator, color is transparent; container, focused container, color is transparent; unfocused container, color is transparent. Once it's done, it just takes all the values to transparent. And I am going to use border with shape of rounder condition. It's very dark, so I'm just going to use 1 dp. And container color must be a white. Kept. Fine. It looks better. Once done, I'm just adding some padding there. Shape of rounder corner, shape of 1 dp. And some top we can add a padding. Padding top we put 30 dp. Max width.
It's 5 o'clock.
Let's duplicate this. Enter this message. Just make it a height dynamically. So I'm just using 200 dp to 600 dp to make height dynamically. And finally I'm going to use some button for a CTA. Text like save. On click will do later, and we need to give color. So colors, modify the default parameter color, button default color, that's CTA color, container color, CTA color. Okay, and something like full marks with some top padding. Top 20 dp. Looks perfect. We need to add a drop down menu here. What that edit and delete options. So drop down menu item. This first passing text field of text contains edit. Show expanded. For something we need to toggle their options. For now I'm using true. And this mistake was using in future. Similarly, another drop down for delete. Option D or Control D, Command D for duplication. Fine. For room integration, we need to integrate these dependencies in libs.toml and use this version here to use the version mismatch. And go to the build or grade and use these lex.androidx.room compiler. What is there? Runtime, and you can see KTX. And again we need an ID of Kotlin capped. Fine. Once sync the project, we can use our room DP here. Before that, compiler must be capped. Yeah. finally link the project, so we can search here to create a DoomDB. For this I am going to use database data class of nodes. But here it is an entity, so you can go through what is the database and how it works now. I'm just using my ID as a unique identifier, class title, subtitle, current time, system.current, no, long system current time in milliseconds. Date, local date, not now, today's date. Now here it is a entity. Main table name as note. Fine. We are creating entity for the DB, and primary key is ID. So it will be auto generated. What else? Data access object. Create a new interface with DAO, data access object, which is a necessity for our room database. Giving annotation as DAO, right? Is using query of select. Start from node. Nodes must be matched here. Get nodes. It should be a list of nodes. So I'm using live data of list of nodes. Yeah, it's a method. And we need a insert for additional functionalities. I'm just passing note here. And query for updation, update note, set title. The title is coming from the function parameter. Title as string, subtitle as string, ID is int. I'm using that colon symbol to use the parameters, where ID equal to ID. And finally delete functionality for using query delete from note where ID equal to ID. I'm just passing the ID on the delete params. Okay, these are my DAO objects. Entity is fine. I'm creating room database. My database. And here I'm going to use abstract class with annotation of database. But this is the current version of first version, and entities like nodes or class that we created previously. So here I'm just getting the data access object as DAO, and we need to create an application, main application, which will be executed throughout the app. So it extends the application. Is using a companion object of date where myD. This companion object can be accessed without creating the object instance. So you just go through what is companion object once and make sure it extends some room database that you check once. My database dot class and some database name dot allow main thread queries build. Once it's done, I'm just initializing main application with my name equal to main application and manifest, that is mandatory part. Room database must be extended. So finally I'm just going to use a type converters, as we are using date and time, right? Local date. For this mandatory for using type converter in room database. Function from local date with a date to string. Return it as string. Every data in room database, that's local database, stored in strings. So I'm just using here something like to local date. Just return local date or parse date. Fine. We need to use this type converter in our database. So at type converters class. Fine. Setting up of home DP is done. I'm just using my navigation part from where we are using add screen drive. So I'm just importing this here with navigation compose. Make sure that means input on like this. And host state, no, it's a controller. Start destination as home. Modify that full message like it. We need to use. First time is going to initialize my home composable, which is main screen, and something like add composable, which is add screen. Okay. Let me use a scaffold with the top bar and the bottom bar like that. Context modifier top bar line. I'm going to use that row. Copy, remove and paste this row here. Top bar. And this contains the wrapped inside the body. We need to pass the padding here. Padding of 80 after giving the background colors. The top bar is also we need the padding. So I'm padding with 24 non-6. No. Here I'm just removing the top padding. It looks fine. And I'm just going to use floating action button which contains floating action button of on click there will be a plus icon. So I'm just using icon field, add, and the content description is none. Modifier, fine, and I'm using tint as color.white. You can see this plus icon in white color here, bottom left. So finally I'm going to use a view model for integration. Main application DB down. Fine. And you can check. Double list of empty list. And similarly for add notes, I'm just passing a note here. db dot add note of notes. I'm going to use the view model in our main activity. So for this, I'm using within the onCreate method of view model provider, not this, and get of main view model of class. Right. Now I'm using view model dot get new to fetch all the nodes into the list. So this list must be used in main screen. So I'm just using view model here. Option enter or alt enter to add the parameter that view. Just import this. Similarly, subtitle. Just passing title and title equal to IT. Similarly, subtitle equal to IT. Once button click that, view model add nodes of title, subtitle. Now everything is perfectly fine. Let me check. We need to use that to get nodes into here. Right? Items indexed, pass the data, index of data. Items indexed, view model dot nodes list. I'm going to use here index of data. Just passing the data within the node content. So data operator. So I'm just using the data with my title and subtitle. So data dot title, right? Data dot title. Here data dot subtitle. Fine. Drop down menus need to be first for. So I'm just using a toggle option. It's a expanded very number of mutable state of boolean value. So I'm just using this expanded here. When I dismiss record, it will be false. And finally, once add nodes done, we need to fetch update the list rate. So I'm just using the get nodes here. Passing the controller, once add option is done, I'm just passing to main screen. Home screen, I'm just navigate to home screen, right? Let me run the project. Now I'm going to add another thing. Here we need to add some delete option of delete node because passing the id here db.delete node of id, right? After that we need to update the list. Once done, in on page line we need to use view mod.onDelete. I'm just passing the function reference here and on edit into the function reference here. Since we can't use, it's not advised to use view mod within every items. I'm just passing as a function reference. On delete, I'm just using view model on delete, right? On edit. View model on edit. ID. View model on edit mode something. So for this I'm just navigate first, right? In the edit screen. For now I'm just giving add. We'll do the edit screen. This is the mandatory part. We need a mutable state, so it continuously updates the UI instead of direct mutable list. I'm just updating the mutable state of list value. Right? Now it works perfectly fine. In the project, add items, something like hello. I'm just delete the item. For the edit functionality, I'm just to create another composable function with edit screen. View model and control edit. I need to duplicate this edit screen or command D or control D. Edit screen, edit sticky notes, title. We need to pass the previous titles, right? Previous title, subtitle, and we need ID also. So for this I'm going to pass the ID with the reference like in arguments. Title, that is data.title, data.subtitle, data.id. Here we're fetching the data. Dot get arguments dot get string. For ID I'm using the int. Title separate line title slash subtitle slash ID. Title, subtitle, ID. Right. With the pass something like to avoid empty strings. Once done, in on class we need to add a function of function edit notes with title, subtitle and ID. Update. With the subtitle update. So everything. Let me check. Oops, I'm just repeater and wait task. Oh, let me do just for crash because I'm just using text right? So it's wrong. We need to use it in now parameter. And it is a string. I was already told everything is stored in string. So get string and just use int functions. Now let me check. Yeah, edit function is perfectly works and delete also works perfectly. Add items to room DB. Yeah, addition also works perfectly. Yeah. You can add dynamic height of data. Hope you love this. Thank you.